Hello and welcome to Smaulgld. In case you missed the top gold, silver, and crypto stories for the week ended July 29th, 2018. Facebook stock falls face down. Markets smash Facebook and Twitter. Here's some of the other stories we're going to be covering. Iran and Trump threaten each other. Gold imports into China via Hong Kong are at a 15-month record. A Bitcoin ETF was nixed again by the Securities Exchange Commission. The GDP of the United States hit 4.1%. JP Morgan's COMEX silver holdings swell to 143 million ounces. China lets the yuan fall, pledges more infrastructure spending, and looser lending requirements. And the Smaulgld store opens, home to many Smaulgld branded products. There's your Smaulgld Super Classic mug, your Smaulgld Classic mug. And let's take a look now. Plenty of pictures of the Smaulgld mugs. People received them this week and are displaying them on Twitter, Facebook, and sending me photos. Now, what else did we do during Smaulgld during the week? Well, we asked the question early in the week, have gold, silver, and cryptos bottomed? They've since gone up since then. That doesn't answer the question, though, but we may find out in the next couple of months. U.S. congressional hearings show cryptos gaining establishment backing. How much gold is smuggled into India? 10 reasons why you should buy and hoard mugs. That number is now up to 15, posted today. Why China's economic woes just got worse. We talked about that in the context of the deal that the United States did with the European Union. Should you buy 2018 American Silver Eagles? We did an analysis on prior dated American Silver Eagles and the deals that some bullion dealers are offering when you buy random dated American Silver Eagles instead of the brand new coins. A wealthy society is a golden society. That was an interview I did with Leo Gantz at the Wealth Research Group. We also did when silver was the world's reserve currency, and we discussed why the Winklevoss twins Bitcoin ETF went down in flames yet again. And last night we had a very big crowd on the live stream that we do every night at 8 o'clock on YouTube on what's up with the massive increases in JP Morgan's and COMEX silver warehouse stocks. And you can check that out. Now, let's take a look at the prices. Gold close 223 2 weeks ago. It was 1231. Silver down to 1547. 2 weeks ago it was 1551. Gold silver ratio at about 79 to 1, still on an upward trend. And there's the new Smaulgld erasers. They're game changers. There's also Control Alt Delete one if you want to show people, younger generation, what it used to look like when you wanted to delete something. You use one of these good old erasers. Very affordable eraser, just a couple of bucks. All right, and anything that I do sell on that, I make a small profit. That does help the site out. Now, shadow banning. They didn't attribute this to the fall in the price, but I think what's happening is a lot of customers at Facebook and Twitter are not too happy with the way that their data has been treated ever since the Cambridge Analytica breach and the shadow banning that's going on, and they're trying to say, oh no, we don't do it. You can still find it if you type in a name, you go follow them, you stand on your head and you call them up, and then you can find their content. It's obvious that they are shadow banning certain accounts, and it's disconcerting because the idea is you go on these sites because you want to be there, and you go there because there's certain content providers or your buddies or whatever, and you want to see what they say. And both Twitter and Facebook, they want you not to see it, or they want you to see something else. I've experienced, I fool around with it. I block certain things I don't want to see. They show it to me anyway. I get emails with stuff I'm not interested in from Twitter. They just want me to see certain content. And they want everyone to see certain content, and there's certain content they don't want you to see. And it's interesting. Now, this is at the level of a national discussion if the president's involved. He's saying Twitter's now shadow banning prominent Republicans. Not good. We'll look into this discriminatory and illegal practice at once. Now, Facebook had its earnings out. They weren't that bad, but they showed declining growth rate. Same with Twitter. Now, Twitter doesn't make any money, but both stocks got hammered 20%. Now, in the case of Facebook, it was the largest amount of largest dollar drop of any stock in history. And here you have Representative Stephen Smith. He's saying, nice shadow ban you have there. It'd be a shame if Rep. Matt Gaetz shined some light on it. And I don't think they care. They seem to be hell-bent on just pushing forward their agenda as opposed to serving their customers. Unfortunately, it's not like they're what's the word? They're not just pushing aside the fringe. They're pushing aside content that maybe appeals to 30, 40, 50, 60% of the users, depending on which content they're looking to nix. It's not. I understand if they want to take down extreme things that polite society doesn't want to see, but they're taking down what they consider fake news. And look, if somebody wants to read fake news, that's what they want to see, and they would be well served to show it to them. All right, now here, Twitter says people are asking us if we shadow banned. We don't. Flat out denial. Read more to get all the facts. Okay, I read more, and it's by their definition they don't, but that's not true. Yeah, we stand with dreamers. Ramadan 2018 happened, and they want you to see certain stuff, and they don't want you to see, they don't want you posting certain things. Here, Facebook crashes 20%, and I wrote, it's time for these social media companies, these FANGs and unicorn stocks, to be valued based on profits, not this perception or other non-financial metrics. $151 billion rout in the history books for Facebook. Now, all of these companies, many of them are in Silicon Valley or San Francisco. They're the reason these ridiculous valuations that you have housing prices that are sky high, because some people at these jobs, they don't pay that much at the job. Let's say you have a really good job at Facebook or Twitter. You make $100,000, $150,000. You couldn't live off of that in San Francisco. But with stock options, you might be pulling in 1.3, 1.5 million a year, just cashing those things in as a matter of birthright. Well, if the stock prices take a crash and people realize, hey, these companies aren't worth that much, they're not going to be able to pay the rents. A lot of these just rank and file employees that are making decent money, the executives and so on. So this could have a ripple effect, but not the same type of ripple effect across the country, but really in these overvalued, highly priced real estate areas, Silicon Valley, San Francisco. And in a way, that's not going to affect the country. It's going to affect those enclaves. And meanwhile, you have companies like U.S. Steel that are actually going to do well and make a profit. Now, their stock isn't going to go up 1,000-fold, and the people that work there aren't going to get filthy rich, but they're going to do better than they have been doing. So you had Facebook dropping 20%, Twitter crashing 15%, and you had the GDP hitting 4.1%. Now, that's a quarterly amount. Now, one of the things they've been pointing out, and they're going to get into these battles, Obama never did it. Well, Obama had GDP quarters that were over 4%, but never an annual year, because if you remember, there was a few years, I think maybe 2014, 15, maybe 13, where they had negative GDP growth in the first quarter, and then it picked up, but it never got above 3% annually. So we'll see how all this works out for Trump. And of course, Trump yelling at Iran, Iran saying, don't play with the lion's tail, it'll be something you regret. And Trump turns around all caps, never ever threaten the United States again, or you will suffer the consequences, the likes of which few throughout history have ever suffered before. We are no longer a country that will stand for your demented words of violence and death. Be cautious. All right. Now here's an interesting one. This one I love. This is where Hillary Clinton, she hands the reset button. I can't even watch it. She hands the Russian diplomat the reset button. It's very funny. Should have been on Moronica. All right, now on the Manafort, Mueller, Comey, Page, Brennan, FBI, Stroke, Page, Rosenstein. All Trump's still complaining. It's a witch hunt. Today he was going off on saying Mueller's conflicted because he doesn't like me because I nixed him for FBI director and business deals. Well, that's a new one. I think the real conflict is Rosenstein, given that he actually signed off on the FISA warrants and we're at the heart of this thing. He's the one who requested that Comey get fired, and yet he's overseeing an investigation with Mueller, which could include obstruction of justice for firing Comey, which means Rosenstein is a witness. He told Trump basically to fire him. And then also because he signed the FISA warrants, that's at the heart of what the Russian investigation is about. So Rosenstein has far more reason to be out for a conflict than Sessions does, or even Mueller. But this is a very odd time we live in with the special counsel. And there's Manafort. He's in solitary confinement. And we're not going to cover that today. Sessions, he was at a high school and they were yelling, "Lock her up." Now, there was this thing with Brennan and Clapper and their security clearances. And then this is odd because they get their security clearance. They get to keep their security clearance after they leave. I'm not sure why they do. There's not probably any good reason for it. But after Brennan called Trump treasonous, and then he's on CNBC, they said, well, maybe we should take it away from him. He's monetizing it. And clearly the reason you continue to give somebody a security clearance is so they can help you, not so they can call you a traitor. So I don't know where that's going to go. I don't think that's a big of a deal. But I think as a matter of course, if I were running the country, I would have a policy that only on a need to have basis would you have a security clearance. And indeed, I think they should figure that out within the transition period, whether they even need someone's insider expertise. And they can always re-grant somebody a security clearance, but I don't think they should have access to information once they've left, especially if they're hostile. They're not acting in what would appear to be good faith. They're basically saying Trump shouldn't be president. And I think Brennan even said that they should withhold information from him. All right, and there's Brennan. And then they were calling it vindictive. It's like, I think they're being vindictive in both directions. They're saying it was sickening that Trump is doing this. He's being petty. I think it's going back and forth both ways, and it's not healthy at all. I mean, intelligent briefings and clearings are given to security officials so they may serve elected officials, is my point of view. If they spend their time trashing those elected officials and recommend withholding intelligence information, that itself could be treasonous. So I don't know what the big hubbub is about all this, but I think they should sort that out. All right. Now they're saying that the Russians hacked a Democratic senator. Her name is Claire McCaskill. And I know why they're saying that, because if she loses, they're going to say it's the Russians. If she wins, they're going to say she overcame Russian interference. And if she loses, they're going to say it was the Russians and Trump did nothing to stop it because he wanted her to lose. So you could see that coming. Then this Michael Cohen thing is still going on. They're trying to say Cohen said that Trump knew about this. Cohen had said earlier he didn't know anything about it. Then they're calling him a liar. And then they used to say he's got the most integrity ever. So it's all this back and forth. He said, she said. I don't even think it matters, but it makes for good press for a few days. Now, this impeachment of Rosenstein, we covered that earlier in the week, but he's not handing over documents, and this impeachment process isn't going to go anyplace because this is basically the Freedom Committee or the Freedom Caucus, the Republicans. Paul Ryan has said he's not going to support it. Sessions doesn't support it. Chances are it goes nowhere. But Jim Jordan is saying he wants to be Speaker of the House. Now, that would change everything if the Republicans retain Congress, meaning the House, even if they don't retain the Senate. He was running for Speaker, and Ryan won't be there, and I think he's recommending a guy named McCarthy. But if Jordan were to become the Speaker, well, then you would see a big stepped-up pace of this attack on Mueller and Rosenstein. All right. Let's see what else happened. I want to move away. Okay, now, Russia says dollar-denominated Eurobond more likely in 2018. A lot of the gold pumpers always talking about end of the dollar hegemony, dollar collapse. The thing is, I don't realize is that even though Russia sold its treasuries, doesn't mean it sold all of its dollars. And the thing about China is it runs on dollars. All its state-owned enterprises issue dollar-denominated debt. No one wants the yuan-denominated debt. In fact, the People's Bank of China even issued, the Chinese government issued a $2 billion dollar-denominated bond. This idea that they're all trying to de-dollarize to an extent, but they're not looking just to break all ties with the dollar because their currencies are worse. So they know the rest of the world doesn't want their currencies. Oh, but they have gold. I'm not going to go through this. We've been through this too many times. Their gold will not save them. Their debt is enormous in China. Massive debt right now. We're going to get to that in a second. And here, Putin says no plans to reject the dollar, but risk should be stemmed. He sold treasuries. He still has foreign reserves in dollars. Petro yuan. See, here people get all excited. Look at this chart. Petro yuan is taking market share. No, actually, if you look from here, from 2018 here, the number of contracts overall has risen. They're just rising along with the tide. Game over. Game changer. China to crush the dollar. The yuan is getting clobbered. It's almost at 7-1 now. All right. Now, China says they won't devalue their currency to bolster exports. I mean, already more than they already have? They may not devalue, but the market's going to devalue, and China is not going to interfere, they're making it sound like. Now, we're not going to cover this Michael Cohen stuff, Trump, Cohen. Yeah, they were trying to say that Trump said use cash to pay off this. This is all theater. It's not really going to impact anything in the Mueller investigation, because all this Cohen stuff has been shuffled off to the whatever district it is in New York. This isn't part of the Russian collusion case. But Trump is right in this case. What kind of lawyer tapes a client? I mean, that's unbelievable. And who else is he taped? Special counsel Trump. Let's move on. Yeah. Now they had this thing during the week that the New York Times, just to get their names in the paper, I guess, saying Mueller is examining Trump tweets in a wide-ranging obstruction inquiry. Let's just make up news. I mean, those tweets have been there forever. They're in plain view. There's nothing to investigate. They can see them every day. It's interesting. I think I think I'm subscribed or following Donald Trump, and I missed this. He says Twitter shadow banning prominent Republicans. They don't serve me his stuff. I don't see it. I have to go look for it. Now, tariffs are the greatest, is what Trump said. And he says either a country treats the United States unfairly on which has treated the United States unfairly in trade, negotiates a fair deal, or gets hit with tariffs. Simple as that. I still think half the people don't understand that he's not for tariffs. He's for using tariffs to get a result. And he looks like he did get a result with the EU. Because now EU is going to buy soybeans, the ones that China's not going to buy, and they're working on reducing tariffs on both sides. And Trump says the EU should drop all tariffs, trade barriers. But he's still talking about, if they don't, you know, he'll up the tariffs on, excuse me, on European goods. American whiskey and bourbon will flow freely into the EU, sources say. Juncker is pleased with the new agreement. All right, let's talk about China. This gold-backed yuan game changer nonsense. I mean, that's just a symptom of the derangement that people have in the gold community about China saving the world. Here, Tibetan school children banned from religious activities, Chinese newspaper says, with the social credit scores. Now, this one's funny. You know, they always talk about the United States. They don't make anything. They just waste money. We owe a lot. China owes more money than the rest of the world. They have so much debt, and right now their economy is coming to a halt at the worst time when they're trying to deleverage. We're not going to do that anymore. They were trying to deleverage, and then they get hit with tariffs. So now what are they going to do? China pledges more infrastructure spending. They already have enough infrastructure. What are they going to do with more of it? You know, Belt and Road, and they're going to keep building bridges to nowhere. Well, they said no, they're not going to do that. They're going to build parking lots and municipal malls and things like that. Things that they really need. Yeah, they just need to keep the. You know, it's an advanced version of hand out the shovels, dig holes, and fill them back up again. Now, what I was saying, and I did a whole, I'm not going to go through it here, but a whole YouTube on this is why China's economy just got worse, is the U.S., sure, they borrowed money to consume and build military, but Chinese government borrowed for years also to consume, because there's massive consumer debt in China right now. Real estate, consumer loans, but they also borrowed money to overproduce non-profitable infrastructure. And they also borrow to keep and subsidize companies, at sometimes not at a profit, to produce and sell goods to the U.S. and the world at unsustainably low prices. That's not a good model. That's worse than what the United States did, as far as I can tell. All right, let's move on from China. Yeah, PBOC said to ease bank capital rule to encourage lending. I thought they were trying to discourage lending. They were trying to deleverage. Not anymore. There's not enough debt yet in China. And then they're lowering the capital requirements for commercial banks. And the problem is they've been very loose on the capital requirements. They're just going to get looser. All right. You can't taper a Ponzi scheme, as Mitch over at Planet Ponzi says. Yeah, gold back yuan, game changer. Game changer for gold. China's going to back the yuan with gold. Everyone's going to buy yuan, or they're going to convert it into gold, creating significant gold demand. Gold 50,000. Here, China eyes infrastructure boost to cushion growth. Take our currency, please. China welcomes Central and Eastern European countries to include the yuan in reserves. Of course they do. I can hear Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic yawning over the yuan. Chinese yuan. All right, Iran. They're trying to say that Iran offers India to establish a joint fund for exchange of digital currency. That's an interesting concept. I mean, countries under sanctions are going to do things outside the dollar. They have to. Coinbase now is on political action committee. We talked about this during the week about how cryptocurrencies, in my opinion, are gaining establishment credibility, and with that, they're lobbying people with crypto money, or lobbying Congress, lobbying senators, and I think that's where it's going to be in a few years. Is a lot of crypto is going to be in the mainstream, not as a threat to central banks or banks, but as a supplement to them. There'll be stuff outside of the banks, but I think for the most part, they're trying to put this all on regulated exchange. And that's why they nixed the, you can check out my entire analysis on the Winklevoss ETF was nixed by the SEC. But the reason they nixed it, very briefly, is that they don't think that these exchanges are mature enough, large enough, and regulated enough with surveillance sharing agreements. But I think, and they said at some point they will be, and I think that some point will be when the SEC grants Polynex or Coinbase some type of SEC registered alternative trading platform, then I think they'll feel comfortable with it. All right, Swiss Exchange says it's open and offering crypto trading on platform. Facebook reversed its Bitcoin ad ban, so we're starting to see the acceptance of this. Not necessarily widespread. I mean, I think only 2% of Americans have cryptos, maybe 70% have no interest in them. But that's probably true with a lot of things that are still big. I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't interested in a lot of things. I think, though, that does highlight that this isn't the biggest game changer ever, where everyone's going to be using cryptocurrencies like some of the Bitcoin pumpers say. Although Bitcoin has rebounded very nicely the past few weeks. Let's see where it is now. I think most recently it was at about... it's 8,200 right now, 8,244, 8,158. Bitcoin Cash 818, Ethereum 464, and Litecoin 8362. So this is a Bitcoin ETF. There's plenty of those now around. Malta launches first two-way Bitcoin ATM as global acceptance rises. There's the rejection of the Bitcoin ATM. This is interesting. Indian government appointed commission recognizes crypto as a means of payment. Your Indian flag. Now this is an interesting story. China net gold imports via Hong Kong jumped to 15-month high. There's a lot of speculation now that China is still, the People's Bank of China is still accumulating gold. Now what I've been saying all along is I don't really care what the People's Bank of China reports or not, because I know that that's not all of China's gold. So I don't think they're lying. I don't think it doesn't mean anything, because I still track gold that goes into China, and it's very robust. And as they're showing here, it's no secret, Reuters is reporting on it, 15th month high. And I've been reporting on the Shanghai Gold Exchange numbers, and they're about as high as they ever were, withdrawals on the Shanghai Gold Exchange this year. And their gold production is a little bit down, but we know they keep all of their gold. So China, as I call China, China, meaning the country and the government of China, sure, it's increasing its gold reserves. People's Bank of China, doesn't really matter if they are or aren't. That's just one place where the country can keep its gold. I believe they don't keep it there. And if they want to, they can roll it up into the People's Bank of China. They just don't see a need to do so. Goldman Sachs puts a grim number on solar slump for the year. That might not help our silver demand. Bitcoin pumper, amazing. This CNBC Fast Money, they pump Bitcoin left and right. Brian Kelly has a new bull case for Bitcoin. He has a Bitcoin fund, too. He's on there pumping Bitcoin. Well, John McAfee, here's a pump. Bitcoin is now over 8,300. If it gains $100 a day for the last 30 days, but if it continues that way, it's game changer. We're going to $2 million. Away we go. Bitcoin 500,000. The pumping is definitely back on the crypto side. End game for gold. It's all there for gold. It's all about the games. Game over. Game changer. End game. China plays the long game. Game on. Oh, pump. There's a nice Salivate Metal. Those of you who know him, I sent this to him. He covered this very nicely. Look for that video on YouTube. Gold nugget found in Scottish River. Multitude of gratitude. All right. Now, this one, gold is the money of kings. Silver is the money of gentlemen. Barter is the money of peasants. And debt is the money of slaves. I say, copper is the metal of pipes. Steel is the metal of bridges. Lead is the metal of bullets. Nickel is the metal of faucets. And gold is the metal of pumpers. And silver is the metal of pumpers. Gold derangement syndromes. Bricks worship. China worship. 2 + 2 = gold. End of dollar hegemony. Dollar collapse. Game over. Game changer. It never ends. Never ends. Yeah, before putting their hopes in the China gold basket, pumpers need to realize China is not their gold buddy. This whole thing, China, oh, multipolar world, end of dollar hegemony. This is great for the world. Social credit scoring. They weren't their Bitcoin buddy with that ban on Bitcoin. I don't know why they think they're their gold buddy. Gold back yuan, gold triangle, China to crush the dollar, and the rest of the nonsense gold pumpers. You know, I've been saying none of that is going to make the gold price rise. Gold price rising is going to be more likely because of the collapse of their debt Ponzi scheme than any BS about China and its love of gold and Sun Tzu strategy. It's always Sun Tzu. China is playing the long game like Sun Tzu. China is smart. They like gold. Crush the dollar. Sun Tzu. I love this. I don't know how they do this. They smuggle so many great ways into India. But this one, gold paste, looks like turds. I don't know how there's gold in there, but that right there is a lot of gold. 1.8 kilograms. It's like the whole paste is gold. I don't know how they did that. Now here's something. This gold, this is a scam. They said they found Russian warship carrying $200 billion worth of gold in North Korea or South Korea. And every time I read this story, they said 200 tons of gold. 200 tons of gold isn't worth $200 billion. It's not even close. It's like $7 or $8 million. It's hardly anything, but they keep touting it. And then they were going to do, I think, an ICO off of this. I mean, no one bothered to check. Here, I put that was on the, what day did I notice that? The 19th. It took the newspapers until the 26th to realize that the sunken ship is not worth 130 to 200 billion. That's the first thing I noticed. So you can't trust the media. Not that you could trust me, but at least you should know that I try not just to parrot everything I see. I try to look beneath it. Sometimes I get caught out. I get fall for stuff, but I generally have my antenna up for that kind of stuff. ECB, Fed, U.S. core capital goods order shipments rise strongly in June. All right, that about does it for your week in review. In a couple hours, 8 o'clock tonight, Eastern Standard Time, we will do another live stream. Tonight, I'm going to do, you always hear the expression, gold is money, period. Gold is money, and everything else is just credit. I'm going to do gold is jewelry, and everything else is just trinkets. So please be sure to join me for that. Please go visit the Smaulgld store. It's now open. The links are on the, well, I'm going to have to put a link here. They're below this YouTube and BitChute. And also consider donating to Smaulgld if you enjoy this podcast. Enjoy them every night. Or become a Smaulgld patron. Thank you very much.